Suggestions seem to be picking up steam for this series, which I'm quite happy about. We dissected the Loch Ness Monster for the letter L, and as we move on to them, one of my viewers asked for the Minotaur a while back. So without further ado, let's begin. If I had an intro, it would probably play here. Maybe I'll get one when we finish the alphabet the first time around. Anyway, the Minotaur, a monster that is part bull, part man. Well, mostly man, but complete with a bovine head and tail. He's one of those Greek mythological monsters which enjoyed widespread attention in medieval Europe and is still quite pertinent today, albeit in a somewhat different form. This could partially be attributed to the fact that his story existed in dozens of iterations across many classical writings, including Greek and Roman sourcebooks like the Bibliothèque. I'm sure most of you have heard or read at least one version, but for the sake of thoroughness, I'll briefly recount the myth. Plus, I'll also need to reference parts of it later on, because this legend has interesting historical implications, quite unexpected ones. Or maybe they are widely known and I'm just uninformed. Regardless, here's the story. One day the king of Crete, Minos, prayed to Poseidon to send him a sacrificial bull, either as a sign or to acquire the crown which he was vying for with his brothers. His prayer was answered, with a white bovine of unmatched beauty walking out of the sea. For some reason though, Minos had the big brain idea of tricking a god and swapping the wool of heavenly allure with one of his own animals, hoping that Poseidon will not notice the switcheroo. But he did. And as customary with Greek gods, he took revenge in a really twisted, messed up way. Minos happened to have a wife, Pasiphae, whose name I'm probably pronouncing all wrong. Poseidon caused her to be enamored with the beast and crave its However, the bull was not into humans, so she had to come up with a plan. She asked Daedalus, the inventor, the one and only with the wax wings and the dead sun, to build her a hollow cow, practically a bovine sex doll which she could hide in. The animal, not being the brightest, took the bait and did his thing. Pasiphae, as a result, got knocked up and gave birth to a hybrid monster. The name Minotaur means bull of Minos, despite him not being the real father. However, the creature does have a real name, Asterion, which means ruler of the stars. Keep his name in mind. Not all versions speak of Asterion's early years, but according to some, Pasiphae did try to raise him, which can be seen in some depictions. Unfortunately though, he became violent, a true monster due to his existence defining nature itself. He could not be kept among people, so Minos decided to hide his shame, but not kill it. Daedalus was asked again to build something, this time the labyrinth that would house the half-bull creature. Now we come to a point where the myth starts intersecting with other stories, so let me backtrack a bit. Minos had a son, an actual human son called Androgeus. Many versions differ on the reasons, but he was killed, either directly or indirectly by Athenians. Again, for some reason or another, Aegeus, the king of Athens, wished to repent and fulfilled Minos' request of sending prey to Crete to be devoured by the Minotaur. 7 young men and 7 maidens were sent with each batch, either every 9 years according to some, or every year for 9 years according to other iterations. Yet, despite his docile ruminant face, Asterion is unnatural. Therefore only human flesh can satiate his hunger, cause people are not of nature. I don't follow the logic here, but never mind that. When the time came for the third tribute, Theseus, son of Aegeus and prince of Athens, volunteered to be among the younglings who were sent to Crete to kill the beast lurking beneath the palace of Knossos. Aegeus reluctantly agreed, but asked his son to switch his sails from black to white upon his return, so that his father knows whether he survived. This part is the one most people probably already know. Ariadne, the daughter of Minos, fell in love with Theseus the first time she saw him. Trying to help the boy kill her brother, she asked Daedalus for help. After much convincing, he gave the girl some thread which Theseus could attach at the entrance and retrace his steps after killing Asterion. Yes, I'm using his real name a lot to humanize him. I'm rooting for the monster in most stories, and this is no exception. Poor man-eating abomination born of bestiality deserves some sympathy. Anyway, Theseus followed the very complicated instructions and, after a long and arduous fight, proceeded to defeat my poor boy. He then led the others out of the labyrinth and hopped on his boat with Ariadne to sail back to Athens. Now, the story does not really end here, and since I've already shared a lot of additional information, you probably expected that I do aim to finish it, despite not being directly tied to our monster. So, either of his own volition, or as commanded by either Athena or Dionysus, he stopped the boat at the island of Naxos. Here, either deliberately or after being forced by one of said gods, Theseus left Ariadne behind. The poor girl is not doomed here though, as Dionysus decided to take her as his bride, with the Karvounis or Corvus constellation as a marriage garland. There is a possibility that she did kill herself afterwards though, but that's neither here nor there. I should also mention that being a bit upset or forgetful, Theseus failed to change his sails. So he's dead off himself too by jumping into what is now known as the Aegean Sea, but that is another irrelevant detail for us. I just wanted to mention that nexus bit. Now, before we move on to the historical implications, I'll take time to tell my female audience to stop searching for a handsome bull, even if they want a sweet little baby cannibalistic beastman. Obviously, humans and bovines do not produce viable offspring as their DNA is incompatible. The legend of the Minotaur is meant to be taken as an allegory, and it's a pretty good one at that. According to archaeological findings, there seems to be evidence of an ancient bull cult, which had great influence over Crete around 2000 BC. In the Knossos necropolis, murals show youth somersaulting over bulls as some sort of sport, and the myriad artifacts, paintings and decorations adorned with these animals, often in the company of stars and the labyrinth, seem to indicate that the Greek story is probably an evolution of their myths. Minos was presumably a mythical or godlike entity as well, part bull, part man. The wedding of Dionysus with the garland of stars might be a reference to one of their rituals, which is further solidified by the name Asterion,
ruler of the stars.
Pasiphae's union with the animal might also be one, although that could be the Greeks mocking the Cretans.
Yeah, bull fucking Cretans.
Crete is also supposed to be where Zeus took Europa, the Phoenician princess, to indulge in his usual antics of knocking up a girl in the form of an animal. According to the legend, Zeus swam across the sea as a bull with the lady on his back, although he did change into a bird for the shag, because of course he did. So what does this have to do with the myth, you ask? Well, Crete used to exert a lot of influence over much of the Mediterranean Sea, and Theseus killing the beast with a bull head might represent a time when Athens managed to break free of that influence, putting a stop to the tributes they had to send. This is further emphasized by the fact that prior to killing Asterion, Theseus was the one to kill his father, the Cretan bull, after it broke free from its pen during some games held in Athens and began his rampage. This whole myth complex seems to show the triumph of Athens over the bull of Crete. There's only one thing left, the labyrinth. Such a building was never found. Many suggest that the maze refers to the labyrinthian structure of the Knossos palace, but some do debate that. It might be another symbol of the bull cult, similarly to the Ring of Stars. We might simply not understand its true meaning. Regardless, this is almost all there is to the Minotaur's legend. I say almost because there are two more things I want to address. First, there are many depictions like this. Here Asterion is a bull centaur. Well, this seems to originate from a misunderstanding. This image seems to derive from the description given by the Roman poet Ovid. He simply called it part man and part bull without specifying which part's which. This version was widely accessible and caused many medieval and Renaissance artists to create incorrect illustrations. Even this mechanical monstrosity is technically not a Minotaur, and the modern fantasy depictions are a bit off too. Not that it matters much, I prefer it anyway. The other bit I wanted to add onto the myth was that there were actually Minotaurs other than Asterion across the globe with near identical appearance but different stories and names. xiaozhen is one of these, a giant with a bull head in Zoroastrian mythology. He led demons and was killed similarly by a hero through an arduous fight. Oxhead is a Chinese guardian of the underworld, although he is missing his balls to be fair. The Ushiono of Japanese mythology can also have a bull head with a humanoid body, albeit one of unusual color. These are the ones that come to mind anyway. There might very well be more, so feel free to put them in the comments if you know some. And now on to the main attraction. A realistic version of the Minotaur that could exist, except that it doesn't. Obviously, I'll go with the true classical depiction. Most likely to the surprise of nobody, our bullman will not actually be a bovine. Bovinae have gone down an evolutionary path that would be hard to distort into a humanoid shape with fingers standing upright. No, in order to create an intelligent species of almost human-like animals, we should look at the best contenders, primates. Now the first trouble we will run into is the facial structure. It has to at least resemble a bull head. Indeed, if it was just a monkey with horns, no sane person would call it a Minotaur. Luckily, we have the Papionini tribe. No, it's not an obscure tribe of cannibals off the coast of Boundfuck Nowhere. It's a group of old world monkeys, which includes some genera with promising visages. Baboons, geladas, drills and mandrills belong to this tribe, and they have faces that are the closest to something bovine among all monkey kind. I'll be the first to admit that the mesh is not perfect, but fortunately it does not have to be. You see, we shall make up a shiny new genus, which split from the rest of the Papillonini crew at an early stage and developed in a slightly different way. Yep, they'll ape our evolution, learning to walk upright and use tools. Since their close relatives are already quite smart, this would not be a huge leap. We should touch up their head a bit though, to more closely resemble a bull. A bull with an impressive set of teeth, mind you. Before we move on to the horns though, let's examine that tail. So, you humans have lost your tails, as they did not provide much of an advantage in your specific lifestyle. However, our dear Minotaurs shall be smaller than an adult human. Their tails would still have a function, helping them climb if they require to do so. While they would not spend too much time on the trees, they'd still frequent the grounds. They would have to, as their tail will disappear with time, and we can't have that. Perhaps it is part of their culture, religion maybe? They could have arboreal lodgings for that matter. Do not worry, I did not forget about the labyrinth. I'll address it soon enough. Before that though, there's still the question of horns. We have two possibilities here, but I'm leaning heavily towards the second solution. The first one would be, well, actual horns. While it is kind of a massive leap, them developing horns is not an impossibility. However, it does suffer from many problems. These would not be useful weapons, as due to their stature, size and lifestyle, it would not be an ideal defense mechanism. Running up a tree is much easier and provides ample protection against a good portion of predators. As for those that could climb up, well, there's not much they could do with them besides menacingly pointing it at the climbing leopard while simultaneously losing sight of the approaching menace. Biting, scratching, throwing things, those are a lot more effective here. The horns could be used to establish dominance, but that is a slim excuse for such a prominent feature. They'd be better off using body parts they already have, like that impressive set of teeth. I'm a lot more content with the second option, even though some people will not like it. It's a hat. Well, that's an oversimplification, but the prominence of horned headgear, perhaps as a religious symbol, the fearsome attire of warriors, or a simple fashion piece could be all we need. I'd bring up the example of centaurs, which are believed to originate from nothing more than non-riding cultures encountering people on horseback. There is also more to it, as we do not have to make it a prominent piece of clothing. We need only one example, a significant one. Some of you might already see where I'm going with this. Indeed, there was only ever one Minotaur, or at least one the Greek civilization encountered. This budding nation of intelligent baboon men were frolicking around in Africa, but King Minos, or rather a Minoan ruler, bought or captured one. He either kept it as a court pet, or perhaps he managed to teach it his language, having him as a trusted advisor. Perhaps the horned headgear itself is a result of the bull cult on Knossos, which Asterion took a liking to. The rest of the myth can still be the same symbolism. Athenians mocking the Minoans, claiming that the strange humanoid is the bastard child of the ruler's wife. Theseus is then breaking ties, etc, etc. The rest of Asterion species would still be developing their culture on the southern continent, perhaps spreading their influence or warring with human tribes and nations. So there you have it. The Minotaur was just a misunderstood member of a species of humanoid baboons, in some alternate universe. Not exactly the man-eating bull-human abomination of legends. Well, the man-eating part could still be true, I guess. Their diets would be quite diverse after all. I mean, even humans eat humans, so there'd definitely be precedence for it. To be honest, the most absurd thing about it all would be the fact that they were not mercilessly exterminated like hominids for their audacity of not being the right species. That's all I got for the Minotaur though. Again, thanks for all the suggestions and keep them coming. I'll make sure to note each and every one of them. As for the next video, I have a nice one planned for N, but I'm not going to spoil it now. Don't forget to press all the right buttons so that the infamous algorithm doesn't bury my channel. Thanks for watching, but I'm gonna go now. Bye!